Asha, you can start.
Good evening, friends. I remember that Shashi Tharoor once said that it had been more than 3 decades that he looked up dictionary. That time I was simply amazed, not by his claim, but by the range of inputs he must have given. When I say input, I mean reading, listening. Such was his range of vocabulary. Friends, we know in order to communicate more meticulously and to be understood more clearly, one is supposed to have wide range of vocabulary. There could be many possible ways to improve your vocabulary. Today, we have a session specific to learn vocabulary from lyrics. This is an interesting way of learning vocabulary. I have never heard of it in any practical way. Today, I am really prepared to be amazed by the session that we are going to attend. And the keynote speaker of today's session is SAYAN Ray. He is practicing lawyer in Delhi by on call. By passion, he is an avid reader. And then again, he is blessed with the gift of gab, which means he has some kind of excellent command over expressing beautifully and meticulously. I am personally big fan of accumulating vocabulary. So I look forward to this amazing session. And as I have been attending this Leaders Are Readers Club, I firmly believe that we are the group who cares for learning, who are always supportive in learning. So I would like all of you to stay on toe and let's see how the keynote speaker, SAYAN Ray, is going to blow our mind simply by his idea of learning vocabulary with the medium of lyrics. Now, friends, as you know, that today we have something out there in terms of our approach of taking this meeting forward. So can you guess at what is new today? You remember last meet? What was new in the last meet? Can anyone tell me?
Storyteller.
Yeah, we had a storyteller, TM Shreya. And then after, we wanted all of you to participate for 2 minutes in storytelling. Today, we have the other side of literature, which is poetry. Today, we have a poet with us. He is from Philippines, Minali. His name is Akan. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. He has shared his poem in 1600 events in different 12 countries. That's a really big achievement for him. He is a global poet. Today we have him with us. So we will have 5 minutes for his session, just like we had the 5 minutes for a storytelling session. And after he is done with his poem, we would ask you to participate in poem, preferably poem. But if you can go with a story, that's perfectly fine. But I would like you to take first the poetry. Now, let's move with the special tone to this fantastic journey of learning vocabulary. I tell you one thing, that if you ask any non-native speaker that what is the biggest challenge you have in terms of speaking powerfully and convincing people easily, I guarantee that you'll find maximum people saying that they have vocabulary problem. Friends, our keynote speaker, SAYAN Ray, is making tremendous effort to make this learning vocabulary easier and fun. For that, he has this specific session. Now, as we would be moving on, we have the timer TM Vimanyu with us. He is such a dedicated and energetic contributor to this club. He always gives some creative ideas. If you remember that last time he shared with us an idea to give us the reason why do you want to join the session? Why do you want to register for this specific meeting? That was a cool idea and we all participated in that enthusiastically. Friends, this is all. like I myself, Muhammad Ashar Adil, would like to hand over this virtual stage to our wonderful conversationalist. And by patient, he is such persuasive. I have talked to him one time, and he is going to amaze you with his amazing conversational skills and engaging conversation. Please welcome our keynote speaker, SAYAN. Put your hands together for him.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Over
so much
to
for such a wonderful, lengthy, if at times exaggerated introduction. It finally feels good to be back here because this was my home, as I said, uh, 2 years ago. Every Saturday evening, I used to look forward to this place, meeting faces known and unknown. And I can say, hand on my heart, that it has really helped me in develop myself, not just as a public speaker, which is essential in my line of work anyway, but also as a human being, because the finer nuances of attending a session like this, or like, let's say, a club like this, is often lost because people tend to straitjacket it by saying it's only if you want to improve your public speaking. It's much, much more than that. Having said that, welcome once again to this special session. I'm honored and extremely privileged to be called here as a speaker for the day. And friends, let me begin by quoting a line from one of my all-time favorite songs written by my all-time favorite artists. We'll come back to names of artists and bands who have influenced me, but this goes something like this. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Uh, I've forgotten the other two lines, unfortunately. It's kind of strange. Um, but this song started the revolution for me in my life. It's a band called Simon and Garfunkel. And now let me roll back the years to when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, when India was very much not just going through an economic, but also a cultural shift from a very closed country to something of a culture which was slowly but gradually trying to send feelers to the outside world that we are ready for the big time. And we are trying to embrace what cultural advancements the other countries in the world have made. When I was young, there was very limited access to English songs, movies, which I found kind of paradoxical because, on the one hand, school teachers would say, you must do this, you must read Enid Blyton, you must read Roald Dahl, you must do this, you must read poetry, you must do that. But don't go anywhere near English music because they will culturally defile you, they'll teach you all kinds of bad things. You will grow old before your time and you'll end up disillusioned and disappointed. People who like English songs, I was told very candidly, very categorically at that age, are ones who are either wasted or ones who have no aims, ambitions in life and just want to go with the flow. It's a song, it's a world meant for people who want to coast through life. How wrong could they be? I had the privilege of studying in a Roman Catholic school, and I had the distinct non-privilege of being forcefully put inside the school. I won't say band, choir. Choir is the word, because some teachers thought I had a deep, dark, forbidding voice, and exactly the kind of voice you need when you want to sing praises to God. But that being said, all keeping that aside, initially I didn't like it so much, but gradually there were a few songs that really hit home. I've never been a kind of person who has been very fond of devotional songs to a great extent, primarily because I think you're putting a lot of pressure on God to do a lot of things. But there were these songs which hit a chord because they spoke about the power of human resilience, the power of the strength of the human spirit. And one of these songs was a song called Abide with Me. Later on, as the years rolled by, I read about the song, I heard that song time and time again. But that the trigger, or rather the match that song lit in my heart continues to this day, because once it began, I slowly started exploring the world of music and more. In college, I took up two languages because I felt that what could be more important than spending 20 hours a day poring over distinctly complicated law books is to take up two more languages because, well, such is life. And although I cannot say today that I have attained any great proficiency in any of the two languages, I was struck that even at that time, the teachers who taught us, they never said a word about listening to music. If you study Spanish nowadays, you will never hear a teacher saying you must listen to Despacito. If you learn German or French, they will never say that you must listen to Alizé or some other French or German artist. And therein lies a huge vacuum because, as Einstein once said, the two most fundamental languages in the universe, which every sentient being in the universe understands, are the language of music and the language of math. And therefore, I found it preposterous, and I still find it odd that to this day, when people take up a language course, they are taught to read books, to take poetry lessons, to read, to go online and search about newscasters, but they never uttered a word about listening to songs. Because trust me, in my life, if I'm being honest, in terms of vocabulary, in terms of the sheer repository of words that I have learned, it's not just by books alone. Because let's face it, the art of learning a language and the art of learning a language and mastering it are two very different concepts. And if you want to move from the first to the latter stage, you must embrace everything with an open heart. Everything. Now, let me come back to something that is very close to my heart, and that is the never ending debate as to what would we leave behind as a culture in terms of our cultural output towards upcoming generations. Because when we read our textbooks nowadays, we read poems by Wordsworth, we read poems by the bard Shakespeare, we read poems by Shelley, by Keats, by Lord Byron. Very rarely do we come across poem, or if you're doing a master's in English, you might come across a poem by Thomas Dillon or Emily Dickinson or any kind of or latter day poets. But we are still steeped in the 18th, 17th, and early 19th century. It almost appears that from 1900 to 2020 onwards, for a vast gap of 200 years, there was no output in terms of lyrical quality, in terms of poetry or music. And of course, many of those myths will be dispelled by my learned friend after me, who will be taking the poetry session. But also, I fear that 200 years down the line, it will be quite disappointing if students at that time are still reading Wordsworth and Shakespeare. Of course, don't get me wrong, they are great in their own way. They are once in a lifetime, once in a generation, perhaps once in a millennium artists. But is that all there is? What about what would we answer them, or what kind of answer would they get if they knock on the doors of history and ask them, so in the early 21st century, what exactly did languages achieve? And therein lies the power of music. Because what we may have not had in terms of poetry, which unfortunately has gone off mainstream, we have in terms of artists. And many songs, many artists leave a very long, deep message. And there is everything in it for every kind of audience. You're feeling sad, you're feeling depressed, there is a song for that. You are pining after a particular woman or a man, there's a song for that too. You are disappointed and you want to make a comment on social regression, a satirical comment, there's a song for that as well. You want to sing hymns in praise of God, there's a song for that also. There's a song for every mood, every occasion, every time, every person. And it's unbelievable how this vast repository has gone almost unexplored when we talk about expanding one's vocabulary. Let me take you back to a time when I was in class 12. I was about 14 or 15 years old. At that time, as I said earlier, we were just coming out of, as a nation, trying to embrace what the world had already achieved. And there used to be this show on TV called The World This Week, which was hosted by Pranoy Roy. That was the only access to foreign music we had at the time. Of course, MTV, VH1 came much later. Nowadays, youth of today are far more exposed to what is happening across the world. And that's only a good thing. I am not one of those people who will say that you must not expose yourself so much to world culture so as to forget your own. Because in my view, exposure to differences can only bring about a synthesis. It can only bring about greater empathy, understanding, and compassion towards others, differing viewpoints. There was this artist who came on stage. He was dazzling. He was wearing multicolored lights, jackets. He came on stage, and there was a slight moniker at the bottom of the TV. It read Michael Jackson, black on white. And for the next 4.5 minutes, the song and his dance step blew my mind. Blew my mind. And thereafter, as I grew older, I explored more of that artist. And there is so much more to be said. Who can forget, especially older generations who have gone through the power struggles of 60s and 70s, the changing society? Who can forget the wise words or the counsel of somebody like a Bob Dylan? To many people, Bob Dylan is not just the greatest lyricist of all time. He may just be one of the greatest poets of all time. A song like The Times They Are Changing, which shares such hardcore truths, such as what is present now will soon be past, and the first one now will soon be last, which is a fact of life. It's all very transient, it's all very fleeting. Who can forget the influence that U2 had on us when they first came around? Because it's almost fashionable now to look back on a time when the world was young, when the Berlin Wall came down in the early 90s, when India had opened herself up, and there were many political changes all across the globe. And they came to power. And all these musical acts were slowly protesting and at the same time trying to find their way, navigate their way in a new era. U2 released some wonderful songs, some wonderful albums. They are known for their anthem arena rock music. They're known for the passionate love songs. But the song that really hit home for me was a song called Walk On. Why? Why me? Because just like everybody else, there are times in my life that I felt completely helpless, that I felt that I'd hit a wall and there was no turning back. And therefore, a song like that really, really encouraged me to move on, to develop that sense of fortitude, that resilience. When I was young, when I was small, I remember standing around bonfires and singing We Shall Overcome Someday. I never quite understood at that age what it meant. It had a nice tone, it had a nice ring to it. But when you're up against the world, when everything in the world seems to be against you, when the chips are down and you hear that song, somewhere, somehow, there arises a small gleaming of hope. And then slowly you realize the same thing, the same message that has been delivered from time immemorial, from Virgil in the Greek times, to Rumi in Persia, to the bard Shakespeare, to U2 in the modern day. That is, the strength of the human spirit overcomes all. In the next few minutes, during the course of this meeting, I heard many folks on the WhatsApp group talk about their favorite songs. I would now like you, some of you, to tell us as a wider audience why that song is so special to you. Not just from a grammatical sense, because let's face it, there are very few songs we like if they don't have good lyrics, and vice versa. It's always a wonderful cohesion of the two. And for every single great poet of the Romantic era, post-Romantic era, modern era, you can name, I will name a great songwriter of our era. Let's embrace what we have. Let's not shut our eyes to the wealth of talent that we have. Let's not be comfortably numb. Let's go out of our comfort zones, explore the wider world, listen to the voices that have been left unheard. And now, as I recall the lyrics to the song, as I started, the Sound of Silence by one of the world's greatest songwriters, Simon and Garfunkel, it went like this. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again because a vision softly weeping left my eyes when I was sleeping. And there is a line at the end which goes like this. Somewhere in the middle, a lyrics. I will just read it out for you. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never shared, and no one dared disturb The Sound of Silence. He was talking of an era of censorship in the media and repression of rights of freedom of expression. And yet, after all these years, that song is still so relevant today. I now invite everyone else here to share what song, what artist has been an influence in their lives and why. And towards the end, we'll round it up. We'll do a comparison as to is it really true that our songwriters today are any less in quality than the poets of a bygone era, and the benefits that you can get by embracing that. Thank you.
Sam, can I be the first person? Sam, you're on mute, buddy.
Yes, please, please. Abu, you
So-
have a fantastic voice, so please to support your question with the accompanying G minor or A major chord.
So it's like, you know, something which is very close to my heart. And when the way you spoke about coming out of your comfort zone and what
Right.
you will be leaving, there's something which is by Wolfgang Peterson, which says men and women are haunted by the vastness of eternity.
Right.
And so we ask ourselves, will our actions echo across the centuries? Will
Right.
stranger hear our names long after we are gone and wonder who we were, how bravely we fought, and how fiercely we loved?
Right, right. It's a wonderful line. In fact, it's a line that echoes across many poems. There's a poem by John Keats called Ozymandias, which has a famous line where a traveler is walking through a desert and finds the ruins of an old statue. And in that statue, it says, stranger, pass me by and remember me for who I once was. I was king of kings, and today here I am, just another statue that is slowly disappearing in the sands of time.
Just the ruins of the statue was left. Sorry.
Yes. I don't know who that was, unfortunately, yes. But yes, that was actually a good explanation of things that are. If my memory serves me right, one of the greatest poems that Shakespeare himself wrote was called Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, which is about the seasons in a young man's life compared to a summer day. And over there is a wonderful line. I was about to say that towards the end. And it says something like this. It says, when in eternal lines to time thou growest, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives lives to thee. What it means is that so long as men continue to read poetry or listen to music or express themselves creatively, so long will these poems and music last, and through them, the poet or the artist themselves. So while the mortal remains may have long gone, we still remember Shakespeare to this day. And perhaps 200, 300 years down the line, when Abu finally writes his magnum opus, we will remember Abu for the great poet of our generation. Yes.
Thank you, Sayan.
Thank you.
Aditya wants to share something, I think. Aditya, go ahead.
Yes, please.
This poem you must have heard, it's The Second Coming by W. Yeats.
Yes.
And this sums up what is happening right now. So these are the lines. Turning and turning in the winding gyre, the falcon cannot hurt the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Back to you, Param.
Yes, very strong lines. Very strong lines indeed. As I said, every great poem has a soul. I think every poem has a soul for that matter. I don't think if a poem or a work of art doesn't have a soul, and what I may say, I'm saying might sound a little bit vague and abstract, but if you feel that soul, then automatically that poem is elevated to the level of, let's say, an art that lasts. If it's just a few drum beats and some music, we don't seem to remember it for a very long time. Same with poetry. If it's just a bit of disjointed words, and there's a word for it, it's called discord. If there is not a certain feeling that arises in your soul, then I'm afraid that poem has failed to serve its purpose, or that song. I'm reading some comments here, and some of these are really illuminative. Dylan did indeed win the Nobel Prize for Literature, but it came a little too late in my view. He should have been recognized a long, long time ago. And I think he did the right thing by not attending it. Um, as for Coldplay songs, yes, Coldplay is actually one of my favorite bands. But much before Coldplay became a huge act, they released an album a very long time ago. It's called Parachutes or something. I think the first one or two first. Second album was Rush of Blood to the Head, by which time they became a huge act. But there is a song in the first album called, there's a song in the second album called A Warning Sign, which I really love. And there is a song in the third album, X and Y, a slightly underrated song, but which is an absolutely gorgeous love song, or rather a song about someone unable to bridge the gap between himself and the person he loves, and unable to express himself. And that song is called A Message. And sometimes I sing it, though of course I will not be singing it now. And of course, there is another, Pink Floyd, definitely great poets themselves. That's why I reference Comfortably Numb. There is a song called Learning to Fly by Pink Floyd, which describes the sensation a pilot gets when he's in the air at the mercy of Mother Nature, which is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. William Hendy, Master of My Mind and Captain of My Soul. Did you know that Nelson Mandela, when he was in jail in Potchefstroom, had this poem written on his cell walls when he was incarcerated for more than 20 years before he was finally released in 1990 and ushered in a new South Africa? These are the kind of poems I like. We have our own Sir Rabindranath Tagore, who wrote a similar poem, and I've read it in Bengali, which is Ekla Cholore, which means walk alone if you have to. Even if you have to bleed, even if you have to burn, even if nobody is behind you, even if you're struck by lightning, you must face the world alone. These are the kind of things I like. And of course, one can extol the virtues of poetry from here till infinity. But I'm just glad that we have members here who are so aware of inspirational songs. And I'm really happy. I'm always happy to share music, lyrical stories with others. Anybody else wants to chime in, please feel free. I believe we have time, I guess.
Yes, Amrit, please go ahead.
Hi everyone, my favorite song is I'll Be There For You. It's the Friends title track. It's by a band called The Remembrance. I love that song because I think it still holds true, and it reminds me of a brilliant circle of friends I have in college. So no one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you're broke, your love life's DOA, you're still in bed at 10 when work began at 8. Your mother warned you that there'll be days like these, but she didn't tell you the world has brought you down on your knees. But I'll be there for you. So it's a beautiful song on friendship and togetherness, and I think it fits the series very well.
Absolutely. And also what I like about songs like these is that these are written in very simple language. There is a perception that poetry must be all hat done or worth or something. You have to use big words. You must write sonnets every time you sit down with pen and paper. That's not like that. I mean, this song, again, it's what used to come before the show for a small, about 1 minute before the show began. And it had some actually very nice words. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I mean, that's a wonderful line, because there's an English proverb which says, when it rains, it pours. And who knows it better than those who have weathered such storms in their lives? And if you have friends who are willing to stand by you, you know that they are there. They are there forever for you. They are the ones worth keeping. They are the real keepers. Anyone else wants to chime in?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I'm not big time listener of music, but
Yeah.
recently I've started listening one of the music, and it is like a song is there that is called Unstoppable from the score. So that was an amazing song, which let you go move ahead. It just I can just tell the few lines.
Right.
Right? We can be a hero everywhere we go. We can have all that we ever want. Swimming like Ali, knocking out bodies, and then it's just like it's like pumping your heart, and then uh, it just it means it's just like you are going to face a battle, and you are still walking alone.
Sorry for the interruption. Thank you, Saurabh. But the time is up now,
Yeah.
and we need to move to the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's very thoughtful, illuminative, and interactive, and I really appreciated you listening all to me gabbling on and all about. Thank you.
And the next session is poem recitation. For that, we have Alkane. So, hey, where are you? Over to you, Alkane. Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Lakan, and I'm a poet from the Philippines, and it's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you, Sayan. That was spectacular. And it's a great bridge because what I'm going to share is primarily going to talk about that. Because poetry has always been branded as Shakespeare, Byron, Keats, wherein I think back in their time, they didn't think it was about Petrarch. It was just them writing their hearts out. And it just so happened that it did connect. So, and I'm going to do in the Philippines, I was in Singapore, they know me as Impromptu King because I do impromptu poetry. And usually it happens when I get struck by an emotion. So I'll do that tonight. 3 years ago, I was there on the bedside, the folded pillow right there on the side of me, clutching it. I wanted to say how hard it is to write the scribbles of my heart in a paper that would just fold itself 1,000 times and I would not see myself. And I owned it. I told my heartbeat, I told the strings that you can play, you can write your own, you can write yourself, even if it means you crying in the midst of a crowd, that you do not owe anyone any explanation because you are precious. You are human too. You can express, create. You can be a synergy of your own literature. You can be 1,000 leagues of your own, but you do not know it yet until you take that first step. So I took that first step with the cold floor running towards me, the shadows trying to grapple me back to bed. And I did not let them. I took that light and told that light, I have my own. I am my own star. I am my own heaven. I am my own paradise of my own words, speaking 1,000 times, 1,000 speed. But it can always be still as well. I will tell you the stories of my heart if I want to. So should you. Do not let what others think as good enough to dictate the standards of how your life will be laid out in a piece of paper, the pages of who you are, the person that you've been hiding. Show it. We are our own opus, the masterpieces of our own free will, that choice. Take it every single day. Rise, rise every single day. And have those words spill into a universe of your own, the constellation right on the bookmarked numbers of your own book. But make sure, be that person who writes it. Be that person who will not stay on the bedside like I was 3 years ago. Don't be that person. Be who you are. Do not be afraid. For you are your own poetry. Thank you.
Time is up. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, so I think it's great that we had Sayan earlier talking about how we can bridge also, and I think songs are powerful poems, and the melody just it assists that heart of ours. So I'm going to ask you guys to join me in this journey of writing poetry. And do not mind Shakespeare, do not mind Byron and Keats. Okay, they are long dead, but you're alive. So here's what I want you to do. You have pen and paper with you, those who are watching on YouTube or Facebook or right here at Zoom. I want you to have your paper and your pen, or maybe you're in a computer. I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. I want you to feel the paper. I want you to feel that keyboard, those keys, those little crevices. Feel it. Feel that pen. And then imagine yourself like an ocean now. The waves turning, the waves touching your skin. And then telling you, I love you. Open your eyes. I want you to tell me how I love you feels like. Express yourself. Tell me what I love you is. How did it feel like when you first fell in love, when that wave touched your being? How was it like when that person looked at you, or when you looked at that person?
Sorry, but time is up. I'm
Sure.
sorry to interrupt your dreams. Sorry. Sorry.
That's okay.
It was such a wonderful poem. Yes, we rise every day, we rise anew. Now it's time for us to participate in 2 minutes poetry, preferably. So let's begin. Who would like to come forward with his own poetry or any other poem?
Yeah, I would like to nominate myself for this thing.
Okay, please
Yes,
go ahead.
this is the first time I'm trying after school, to be very frank. So just got inspired by all the speakers who have just narrated. So I would like to start a story which is as follows: failure or success, life, why we are human, to move ahead, achieve success, to acknowledge our failure, fall, rise again in this life. One day we will vanish within a fraction of seconds. What is life? What is life? Connecting with yourself, be with yourself, living for ourselves. This is life. This is life. Do you want to be in the dilemma of failure or success? Or do you want to be 100% of your own version? This is life. This is life. Over to other participants.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Be yourself and for ourselves. Great. Now it's time for Amrit. Amrit, over to you.
Hi everyone, am I clearly audible? Okay. Hi. Can you change the spotlight, Abu?
Yeah, you are audible and visible.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. This is a poem I've written. It's called Confusing Times. The current COVID time is a weird time. letting humans go before their prime. Yet, the sickness is seen as a crime, while many struggle without a dime. So, do I really need a designer tag? Do I have to wash the milk bag? If I cook on Instagram, should I brag? Is staying at home really swag? I mean, ideally, logically, how often should I wash my hands? What are the government's next plans? Can we ever stare at the lovely costumes at Cannes? Can we ever view the cricket from the stands? With questions like this and more, I'm confused at the options galore. Do I think all is well and therefore simply continue as before? Or do I become like the herd, believing each and every theory I've heard? Oh, how the truth and the lies have blurred. The world seems so confusing and absurd. Part of me is happy to be safe at home. Part of me wants to travel and roam. One thing is definitely true of this syndrome. The world seems united. We are not alone. Let's hope to come out stronger together. Being able to find shelter in this weather. Using love and friendship to tether. Hoping for success in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you. Time's up.
Hoping for
Thank you.
success in this endeavor.
Nice.
Yeah. Now the next is Zainab. Over to you.
Thank you. So sorry, my video is not working. So it is the poem for my mom. She passed away last year in November, so I wrote this poem in memory of her. So it goes like that. They tell me life is a journey that will take me many years. Some days are filled with laughter and some days are filled with tears. Some days my heart shatters into pieces that I can't persevere. Some days I want to wear a mask and hide beneath its veneer. Some days I turn and look for you with thoughts I would like to share. Some days I just can't understand the reason you are not there. Some days I just want to call you and think sadness would leave me and the smile will reappear. Some days I just close my eyes and see you as memories are so clear. Some days I struggle to go on, just wishing you were near. Most days I spend in gratitude that you were ever here. Miss you, my mom. Miss you, my mom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great poem. Yeah. Now next is Geeta. Over to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's a very short poem which I've just wrote here. Put in a golden cage with wings chopped off, fed with grains just enough to sustain. Yet so naive and gullible you are, happy in the golden cage with grains just enough to sustain. You didn't realize that this was the start of emotional abuse. Are you some kind of a sage? You have been crippled for life, with freedom all gone. Happy in the golden cage, with grains just enough to sustain. Your wings lost ability to fly in the vast, vast, endless sky. Loved ones left far behind, friends nowhere to find. Forgot to sing the happy songs. Don't you realize this is wrong? Happy in the golden cage with grains just enough to sustain. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to Shraddha. Sorry, I missed you. I should have called you earlier. But yeah, there you are. Shraddha, over to you.
One moment, please. Yeah, so this is a poem actually by my daughter. She's really excited when she wrote it about 15 or 20 days back. I'd just like to share it with all of you. May you be like the sun, energizing and magnificent, beaming glorious rays upon everyone and everything equally and unconditionally. May you be like the wind, whistling and swirling, gently swaying towards your dreams. May you be like the seed that cracks, breaks open, undone changes and grows into magnificence. May you be like the light, eye-kissing light, mind-sweetening light, illuminating, warm and heartening. May you be the hope, the reason for a safer, brighter and a wondrous world. May you be like the star, twinkling and radiant, kindling happiness and hope upon the known and unknown. May you be like the rain, soothing and refreshing, a blend of magical symphonies. May you be like the wild flower that emerges anywhere and everywhere, blooming into ferocity and light. May you be like the light shining through the dark, creating endless possibilities and new opportunities. May you be the compassion, the kindness that redefines humanity. Thank you.
I think this was amazing, actually. This reminded me of a poem I read a long time ago. I think it's an In Memoriam by Tennyson. Of course, I'm not saying you were anywhere close to it, but yeah, it's pretty good.
It's just in the...
Are quite among poets and poetesses. For you, Anusha, over to you, Anusha.
I wrote this on the 15th of August this year. Freedom of the mind. Freedom of the mind is freedom of the true kind, where you're not held captive, nor are you reactive, because your molding is done inside. When that be your state, then you have a clean slate on which you write what you will, with your own quill. Tagore hasn't said in vain, where the mind is without fear. That's where I'd like to rear what my mind will hear. 15/8/2020 does make me a little sentimental. As the numbers go up, the number of years we have lived without fear. And this is why I hope the values remain dear. One wonders what one hasn't seen. That is dependence on a contingent unseen, referring obviously to the invaders who came quietly as traders. But because our generation did not see, nor did it ever have to flee from the invaders of yore with their cruelty galore. And because we never felt the embers, nor did we tremble from the enemy unkind with an unfair mind, do we value freedom less because we never saw the heartless? Yes, that could be true, because as we grew, we saw a free world. And to ask again, my brain begins to unfurl. Or is our mind still enslaved by none other than by oneself? We tie ourselves up in chains in every aspect of life, be it the job that we choose, which perhaps no one could refuse. But is it really us? Or do we just like the fuss of feeling vain, of being someone main?
Time's up. Sorry, Anusha. Time's up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, do we have time for more participants?
So we have 2 minutes. One more participant can go.
Okay, so over to you, Shreya.
Yeah, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you are. You are.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so since there are many conventions and assumptions about love, and also Lacan very beautifully described love, so I feel like reciting this. So here it goes. Love is not when your heart skips a beat. It's when you find serenity and peace. It's not when your cheeks get filled with a tint of red. It's when your eyes gleam, the emotion it shreds. It's not about romancing in lush green verdure. It's when you endure the thorns, even when it jabs your feet a little further. It's not when the sunset lingers the horizon and you kiss each other. Sometimes it's about sitting together, expanding the soul in the worship of the Creator. It's not always about dancing in rains. Sometimes it's about sweeping the clouds away, leaving the moon bare, and letting her light stream in through a window near, that let both of you shine together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Time's up.
Well, this was the poem recitation session. I'm really sorry to Meenakshi, Disha, and Shirjita that we could not accommodate you because we ran out of time. So this is over. Now let's move to the next, which is polling session. Right?
Polling will be closed at 35 seconds. So I request you to please vote. This is your birthright. Polling closes in another 5 seconds. Thank you so much. Asher, you can continue.
Yes. And what is that I should continue with?
That was very nice, Asha. You can let us know about the next upcoming keynote speaker, as well as who is the winner. Param will let you know.
Okay, yeah. Meanwhile, going on, well, I am going to be the next keynote speaker. And what I would be talking about has a strong influence of my college life. Yeah. So I'm going to be there. Well, once a friend of mine who said to me that, Ashar, do you like Upanishads? I said, yes, I feel like that is one of the treasure for wisdom. He said, like, what? How did you come to know about Upanishad? I said only one quote that I remember, one quote of Upanishad, and that made me feel that that is really a book of wisdom. So, friends, would you like to get to know that very quote of Upanishad?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Which is that man in his ignorance identifies himself with the material seed that encompasses his real self. Well, as soon as I got to know this very philosophical point, I just thought, my goodness, this is such a deep philosophy. And then I thought that, why do I feel connected with that book? It is because I have sensed the susceptibility of that idea. So that gave me stimulant to go for the session that I would like to present with you all there in the next session. Hopefully, we are there and we would try to make it count. And yeah, this is it from my side. Now, I would like to thank all the participants for coming by and managing time for this session. It was really a fantastic session. Personally, I liked it because it had very short bursts of wisdom, and then again poetry session, and then again the participation. It was really, and I felt like being in the club of poets. Like, it was really kind of, somebody really put it very nicely that it is very difficult to pick one out of these, this galaxy of stars. It was very difficult to pick one of them. But hey, this is how we vote. That is the vote system. So I would like uh, next to take the voting and poll who is the winner.
Asher, I've personal chat you the winners. There are two winners, Asher. I've like shared on your personal chat.
Yes. Oh, so there are two winners, which means that it was a tie, right? Tie
Right.
between Geeta and Sharda. Woohoo! Congratulations to both of you. Friends, please congratulate them and give them big round of applause for their lovely poetry. And it was really kind of tough competition, I must say. Geeta and Shraddha.
Great.
So with this, we reach the point to encapsulate this session, and to that, I would like the president to take charge and guide us to its logical conclusion. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much, Asher. Thank you so much. So, how you like this session? If you like the session, please come on a video and show your lovely, lovely faces. Please come on the video. And Amrit, can you help me with the snapshot? Thank you so much. Can you please come on videos if you like the session? Great. Amrit, go ahead.
Go ahead with another poetry, another poem.
Thank you so much. So, all of you, I want to tell you something that Toastmaster SAYAN is used to be a part of South Delhi Toastmaster Club. So I'm really thankful to joining us back in this session. And when he started his keynote session, he told that it was his home. I still say, SAYAN, South Delhi Toastmaster, still your home. Those are always open, and the members, your family members, are waiting for you. Whenever you would like to join, please come back, and we are there to have you. And we are lucky to have you. Still, people talk about your speeches and your presidency in the club. So thank you for being an amazing keynote speaker today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Also, I would like to thank Lakan for joining us from Philippines. And all throughout the session, what I've observed was this guy was in his own tone. This guy was in his own passion. Like, he was sharing expressions. He was sharing his, like, this guy was with his heart in this whole session. Thank you for being there, and thank you for asking people to pour heart out there. And I have seen today, like, we have lack of time, but we don't have lack of participants in this meeting. So that's because of you. Thank you so much for motivating people to join us. Now it's time for the gratitude movement. I would like to thank Toastmaster Asher and Toastmaster Vimanyu. Toastmaster Asher for being an amazing anchor, for doing an amazing anchoring for the show, introducing the keynote speaker and taking care of the show. Toastmaster Vimanyu, he is one of our favorite guys all there. Whenever we need any help, this guy is always ready. And thank you so much, Vimanyu, for your constant support to every initiative we took. Thank you so much. Also, I would like to invite you all for the next session, which is from Asher Adil only, and he is going to share some amazing insight from what he has told about Upanishad, and a lot of things will be there. Also, I would like to take this moment to thank the people who work behind the scene, and one of them is our very own, the event coordinator, the backbone of this book club, Toastmaster Abu Shadab. Thank you so much for coordinating it so well. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shajita, for doing an amazing PR. And thank you so much, Vimanyu, Asher, SAYAN, and Lakan for those diagrams where we try to push you and try to make the session more concise. Thank you so much for contributing. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. You guys are amazing. And this club is running on the love of people. This club is not running on money. This club is running on the love and the energy you guys share on every Tuesday, 8 to 9. So I'm looking forward to the next session. Let's meet same time, same place, 8 to 9 next week. Goodbye and take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, all of you.
Good night.